green Olympic, ecology, scientific Olympic. That's certainly successful to use all these scientific gadgets to show how you could run a big game, and also humanistic Olympics. That didn't do well, but actually it became a peaceful economics. The only concern, I was in Beijing, the only concern was security. Security was the overwhelming concern. All the others will have to be not necessarily relegated to the background, will have to be understood in that particular context. That's of course certainly true in the United States or in any country who's nervous. We call it paranoid country. If you become paranoid, you spend all this money, all these people, all these ideas in order to keep security. The waste is incredible. The money, the resources can be used for all kinds of other purposes. So in the 21st century, the role of the elite, the role of the leadership, both political, economic, and in other areas, business, mass media, and all kinds of social movements, including NGOs, will have to have a new spirit. And that's, I would call it the Mencius spirit, the spirit of Mencius. And what is this spirit? The spirit, first of all, is dictated by the ethical responsibility. And the ethical responsibility is based upon one's sense of conscience. A member of the community, even though I am not a beneficiary of this community, I'm still poor, I don't have any property, I don't have an income. Normally people, for example, homeless, you don't impose any kind of moral standards on homeless. If they can survive, it's dignity for some of the people to survive. Of course, then you have to analyze the situation, why he become homeless. If a guy becomes homeless for all the personal reasons, and then of course you don't show any real sympathy. Personal reasons, you just don't want to work. You just don't want to get bothered. You're healthy, everything's fine, and you just don't want to be involved in this. There are many people decided that's wrong to get involved with this. Even involved in a rat race, even if you win, you're still a rat. So we don't want to get involved with rat race, especially in the 60s. So work ethics has become a negative factor. Now, aside from these extraordinary situations, and not just a person, a nation, a group in the poverty-stricken environment to be able to survive its dignity. However, the elite, meaning those people who are powerful, who have access to information, ideas, but a different sense of elite. These people conscientiously decide to become conscious in society. This is what I call the Mencius idea of the spirit of the dreams, of the spirit of the they sometimes translate it, a very good translation, of the Knight of the Way. Knight of the round tables, but this is the Knight of the Way. Their commitment is not to a purity of ideas, their commitment is to the well-being of the society as a whole. And these people really understand not just the meaning of life. There are a lot of unquantifiable, sometimes you can never calculate unquantifiable resources in the society that need to be cultivated. And the absolutely critical for education, competence, for every human being to be competent in his or her history, literature, and other cultural areas. And then you become concerned about arts, and music, museums, and these organizations as important for not only human survival, but for human flourishing. Much more importantly is the cultivation of ethical intelligence. And let people know that some of the great values in the society are not simply idealized vision about what human beings ought to be. These ideas are absolutely critical for the survival of a society. And of course, not only demonstrate the importance of learning, relearning, unlearning, but also demonstrate the possibility of a dialogical relationship to others, and the spirit of tolerance, of respect, of an identity that is open, an identity that allows other forms of identity to develop themselves, and the identity that helps one to become self-reflexive. All these are positive values. And most importantly, this is a response to the Declaration of Human Responsibility. They never allow themselves to be, of course, sometimes totally beyond their control, never allow themselves self-consciously to be politicized. So they never align themselves with the power of the state. They always consider themselves as an intermediary structure for the benefit of the people. And this, of course, happened throughout Chinese history, and sometimes not particularly successful. But this spirit of protest, I call it critical spirit, continues. And that's why the three ideas, or the three loyalties, will have to be clearly differentiated. One is private, and I'm loyal to myself, to truly under myself, to truly committed to the ideas of myself. This is absolutely my first loyalty, learning for the sake of the self. But there's also the loyalty to the public, the public spiritness. And there's no demand for your loyalty to officialdom. Normally we only talk about private and public. That's totally, that's too simplistic. And the so-called public can be utilized or abused. The public good as decided by the Congress, the public good as determined by Washington, the public good as determined by Beijing or by Tokyo, may turn out to be totally self-motivated, self-interested. And we have to be able to criticize. Now in America, we're fortunate because we have the adversarial system. There is a mechanism of criticism that's built into the structure, but that's not true in many other societies. So you have the public spiritedness of the, not just the political, but cultural and intellectual elite to deal with. So one particular notion which is often misunderstood is that public intellectuals exist in all segments of society. Not only public intellectuals in the academic community, many of the academic people in the academic community, not only not public intellectuals, they never want to become public intellectuals. They want to be experts and professionals. And of course in the mass media, if in the mass media some of the people are totally commercialized, and then they don't play the function of the public spiritness. And that's true with the business class and so forth. And yet, the so-called public intellectuals exist in all these domains. They are public intellectuals in government. And sometimes in some societies, in Japan, in China, in the whole Confucian society, some of the most powerful, effective, and important critics of the government turn out to be within the government. Normally we have this idea, this is based upon a very liberal or even radical idea, this is basically Russian. The Russian idea is that if you do not criticize the government, or you do not conscientiously differentiate yourself from the establishment,